Welcome to the Science of Beers podcast with me, Michael McGee. Talking science and drinking beers with researchers down at the pub. So join us with a brew and let's cheers to science. Welcome to the penultimate episode of the Science and Beers podcast. A season where I've had the pleasure of working with the Danish Institute for Advanced Study. And each episode I had a member of the Institute on the podcast, and we've covered a real range of topics. DS is all about interdisciplinary research. So they're brilliant minds from multiple different departments and different research areas, but the idea behind DS is that they all work together or talk together and share ideas. So it's great to tap into the minds of members of DS in this season. As we're drawing a close to the season, it would be really great to get some feedback into what you've thought. If you've listened to a few episodes, if you listened to one episode, there is a link in the description to a Google Docs where I've made a few questions, and you have the opportunity to let me know what you've thought about the podcast anonymously. This episode has been out in the field, you could say. I took the train over to Copenhagen to visit the Euro Fan Zone, which is a huge area dedicated to the Euro 2020 competition. I did that because I'm talking to a researcher who's looking into the health benefits of football, and he's been doing that for many years. Professor Peter Krustrup is a chair of health sciences at the Danish Institute for Advanced Study. He's also professor of sport and health science at the Department of Sports Science and Clinical Biomechanics at the University of Southern Denmark. He's an honorary visiting professor at the University of Exeter and Shanghai University of Sport in China. For the past 15 years, Peter has produced, together with his international collaborators, 150 peer-reviewed articles, all about various aspects of football, mainly regarding the health benefits. So he's looking into different subgroups, so for example, overweight children, older people, or people recovering from breast or prostate cancer. And he's really shown just how beneficial it is in multiple aspects for these people, and all people in fact, to get out and get involved in football. As well as being a researcher, publishing high impact papers, Peter is also a UEFA Pro licensed football coach, and he's currently working as a fitness coach for the Danish women's national team. And he's a big footballer himself in his spare time. As well as talking to Peter, I also interviewed some of the over 65 football players who happened to be playing a match at the Euro Fan Zone, and these were people that Peter has worked with: Ausa, the team captain, and Susanne and Robert, who are in their 70s. I'm going to start with letting Ausa, a over 65 team captain, speak about her experiences, and then I'll start the interview with Peter. If you like this podcast, please help us spread the word, recommend it to a friend, share it on social media, or give it a review on whatever app you're using to listen to the podcast. I'm your host, Michael McGee. Cheers to science. I just saw your team play a match there. You were totally involved. It seemed like there were moments of aggression. There was back and forth from end to end. There were goals.
Yes.
It seemed like you guys were really involved. What is your name and what is the name of your team?
My name is Åse.
Yeah.
And the name of the team is in Danish Momseholdet, in English Granny Team.
The Granny Team.
Yes. We are all past 60 years. I am 73.
73.
Yes, and most of them are about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I must say, you're all looking very, very fit and healthy.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the way you were running around the pitch there.
Yes.
So when did the Momseholdet, when did the team start?
In 2014.
2014.
Yes.
Okay.
1st October 2014, I started this team because In the springtime in 2014, I had high blood pressure, and I found out that the medicine was not good for me, and I saw some men in the television talking about that football is very good for diabetes, cancer, and high blood pressure.
Yeah.
And then I decided to play football. And I knew a little bit of Peter at that time because he was a trainer a coach for my granddaughter. And I said to my daughter, ask Peter to make a granny team.
Yeah.
And his wife is arranged in DBU in Denmark, and she contacted me.
That's the National Football Association.
Yes. And she contacted me and helped me to organize how to play and how to organize it in and out the playing.
Yeah.
So and the 1st October we started. We were 7 women at that time, and I think about the 12th of January 2015, there came 12 men started. So today we are 69.
69 people.
Persons.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Most women.
You mentioned you started it in 2014 because you had high blood pressure. Have you
Yes.
noticed a change in your health since then?
The blood pressure is normal,
Yeah.
and I get no medicine at all. And some of them.
8 years ago, and your blood pressure
Yes.
is more healthy than it was 8
Yes.
years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know some of the other girls have the same problem.
But by the looks of it, though, sometimes on the pitch your blood pressure could get a little high.
Yes.
But that's short term.
Yes. So it is very healthy, and therefore I'd like to inspire other people to play this game because it is so healthy. And this is good. It is healthy, and it needs to be fun.
Yeah.
This combination is good.
Fantastic. Also, thanks very much for chatting to me.
You're welcome.
So I'm standing here in Copenhagen, in Ophelia Place. We're in the Euro fan zone, and it's a huge area. There's not even a football match on today, but this place just screams football. There's people playing street football. There's football on large televisions. There's pictures of football. There's graffiti of football. And in front of me, there's a small football pitch, and there's some people playing football. I would say that they're over 65s, having fun and a kickabout. I'm also standing beside Professor Peter Kristrup. Now, Peter, Europe is screaming football at the moment. It's the Euros. The whole country of Denmark is united as the country goes into the knockout phase of the competition. But your research is to say that football is much more than a fun kickabout. You're actually looking into football as a medicine.
That's correct, and yes, football is medicine, football is for all, and football is for life. Danes are very, very passionate about all types of football. And my research, with now more than 200 scientific articles related to football, covers football for children, football for untrained adults, football for elderly, and football for patients.
How exactly does that work? You've actually got evidence to show that football is healthy for example, the people in front of us here. We have a group of over 65s that are playing football together.
Yes, we started out with pilot projects some 15 years ago, showing that football is a broad spectrum training type, actually encompassing both endurance training, aerobic high intensity training, and strength training. And basically it can be organized in a very simple manner, just conducting a proper warm-up with balance and strength exercises, then pair-based drills, and then small-sided football. And it's fantastic that such a popular and such a social and such an easy and accessible game is enormously healthy. And as I said, we started out with pilot projects, then we moved on to randomized controlled trials in 2007, and conducted and finalized the first review in 2010. And a lot of things has happened since then, and now this is a global movement for researchers, but it's also a global movement in terms of creating and developing and evidence-basing concepts that can be used for various groups of football players around the globe.
Yeah. Well, I'm noticing something that we're missing, Peter. So before we have a chat, can we walk over to the bar?
Of course we can. This is a perfect place. You know, fans like football and fans like beer. So in this area, it's certainly possible to.
The listeners to the Science of Beers podcast, they certainly like beer at least. But I'm fascinated with the fact that you're researching into football. You know, football is everywhere. I grew up with a lot of football. It's like the number one sport back in Ireland. It's the number one sport around the world. Whenever I was at school, my careers counselor never said I could be a researcher into football. But that's what you're doing.
Basically, I started up as an exercise physiologist,
yeah.
And my PhD with 13 scientific articles did not mention football with one word. So I was brought up in the old scientific tradition that most training studies were conducted in the lab with bicycle exercise, running exercise, maybe walking exercise. But that was not enough for me. I've always been very active with various types of sports, mostly team sports, and I was a football player from the age of 5. And I knew from the age of 15, when I became a coach for the first time for a girls' team, that football is something special in a way, that it combines different types of training and that it promotes camaraderie and fun. And when I became a researcher and learned all the methodologies that could make it possible to investigate football and other team sports, that was what I did, and that has really developed from there.
Yeah. Well, what would you like to drink? Would you like a Carlsberg or no, a Heineken? I guess it's Heineken or Heineken here.
Usually I would prefer a Carlsberg, but Heineken is fine for today.
2 Heinekens, please. And this is also a part of the social aspect. Football, it brings people together through teams, but this is what beers do as well.
For sure.
That's why it's science and beers. We like to bring science out into a social setting to be able to talk about science. And make it normal to have a nerdy conversation.
Exactly. But this is a part of it. And what we usually call the third half, the social aspects after the training is quite important, and maybe just as important as the first and second half. But the most important thing is that don't skip the first and the second half. You have to participate in the football training, and then it's okay to drink a beer afterwards. Yeah. Then you can still become much healthier than if you did not participate in any sport.
Well,
so cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. And you know, that was what I did today. I played with the plus 65 team from my hometown, Frederikssund, and we had good fun and a lot of exercise. I'm pretty sweaty now, and so just to say that I've done my exercise today, so it's okay for me to drink a beer.
I watched you play, actually. I watched you score a couple of goals there, but I never actually stepped into the ring myself. It's been a very long time since I played football. The exercise that I do would be boxing.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
And
that's a good interval training as well, for sure.
So you have the strength, you have a lot of the cardio and the strength.
Yeah. The heart rate really comes up, and you got the impact from the muscles, but also from the ground action, and you got many of the same aspects in football, because when we pass the ball, when we dribble, when we make shots, when we score goals, but also when we lose the ball, we have to turn around, we have to change the direction, we have to change the intensity, and that's an important part of I would say the secret behind the enormous physiological effects is that it's an intermittent sport, and it's a very versatile sport. And
so you're running very fast and you suddenly stop. You're putting pressure on your muscles, on your skeleton, and that's what provides the training.
For sure. And I've along with my research group at the University of Southern Denmark, along with more than 200 colleagues around the globe, I've contributed to more than 100 articles specifically looking into football as a health-enhancing activity, and and all the research we have conducted clearly shows that football is very, very effective in terms of increasing cardiovascular, cardiopulmonary health, increasing metabolic health, but also musculoskeletal health. So for sure, it can be used for a number of lifestyle diseases in terms of preventing lifestyle diseases, but also in terms of treating lifestyle diseases. When we're talking about people with osteopenia, football can for sure increase bone strength and bone mineralization. When we talk about people with problems with their balance and their muscle strength, football is the answer. When we're talking about obese children, obese untrained adults, football can be part of the answer. And when we're talking about hypertension and pre-diabetes, football can for sure be the answer or one of the answers. So a lot of important, I would say, milestone research has shown that a fun and social sporting activity can be used as a cornerstone in the non-pharmacological treatment of lifestyle diseases.
So we walk back over to,
sure.
to close to the,
Sure.
to the pitch. I'm curious the actual mechanism there. Like the fact that you're putting strain on your muscles, you're putting strain on your skeleton. Does that then encourage the cells to repair themselves or to strengthen themselves? Or
Yes, it does.
Is it a case if you don't use it, you lose it?
Yeah, you have to use it, and basically the higher intensity, the better. In terms of improving your bone mineralization, in terms of improving your muscle strength, increasing your muscle mass, and also improving your postural balance. That requires hard training, but obviously also a good balance between exercise and rest, between training and recovery. So our recommendations for the general untrained population is just 2 times 60 minutes per week with football fitness, with football training.
Regardless of age?
Regardless of age, the normal recommendations for untrained and sedentary people across the lifespan is 2 times 60 minutes per week, which is enough to improve your VO2 max by an average of 11% over just 3 months of training.
VO2 max would be?
VO2 max, the maximal aerobic power. So it increases the heart function, the blood volume, the cardiac function to an extent that increases the maximum oxygen uptake a lot. At the same time, it's enough to have a huge drop in blood pressure, just 2 times 60 minutes per week for 12 to 16 weeks. Lowers the blood pressure for normotensive by more than 5 millimeters of mercury, and for hypertensive patients with mild to moderate hypertension, it decreases the blood pressure by almost 10 millimeters of mercury in just 3 to 6 months of training, 2 times 60 minutes per week. So that's as effective as pills against hypertension.
Well, it's more fun and long lasting than pills. Pills, you have to constantly take them with
Exactly.
With 6 months of exercise, how long would the effects be?
I mean, it's very important to continue, and for the players that are on the pitch right now, they started out the captain with hypertension herself, and she used football to treat the hypertension, and that was very successful. And she also created an atmosphere around the football training that make people adhere to football. So now, 5 years later. A total of 70 elderly are playing each single week year round. And that's fantastic. And that's so important that you create an atmosphere around the football training so that people continue. And that is a successful strategy.
They're 65 plus, some of them are plus 70, plus 80.
Yeah, they even have a goalkeeper which has the nickname Michael. She's 87.
87?
87, yeah.
Wow, and they're running around the pitch. They seem really, really healthy.
Yeah.
They're really into it. They're
and you can hear them cheering and laughing. And, it's amazing.
And they're good as well.
They
go into the ball. You know, they're not afraid of getting stuck in.
For sure. And my wife and I started the team along with Åse, the captain, 5 years ago, and it has just been a fantastic experience to follow the team. And now you see the football players everywhere in my hometown.
Yeah.
The plus 65 football players
Yeah.
are everywhere, just going shopping with their football shirts.
Well, they have their own.
they're really,
they have their own top
They're
on
really
as well.
petty, and they're really happy.
And proud as well to be part of the community.
For sure, they are.
Because that also speaks to the mental health aspects of it. If you're part of a team, that's also on a broader scale. If you support a football club, you're part of that team. It makes you part of the community, which is good for mental health.
For sure. I mean the social, mental aspects, the well-being effects of a team sport is basically also very well described now. I mean, I'm an exercise physiologist myself, but more than 10 years ago I realized that you have to bring in psychologists, you have to bring in sociologists, and to bring in people from the medical world to strengthen and broaden the research in football. And now we know for sure that it has a number of effects on the physiological side, but for sure also on the mental health and social well-being.
Well, that really speaks to your membership of DS, the Danish Institute for Advanced Study, who I'm doing this season of the podcast with, the interdisciplinary aspect of the research.
Exactly. And that's probably one of the reasons why I was chosen as a chair for DS. Because I have a long history of close collaboration with other disciplines, and we are doing interdisciplinary research or multidisciplinary research in many of the studies that I'm doing. So when we are investigating the optimal concept of football for school children, for obese children, for young people, adolescents that have social problems, etc., or are too aggressive. When we're looking into the use of football for various patient groups, we are interested in covering many aspects regarding the organization of play and the effects of the football interventions. And this is what we've done in a concept called 11 for Health for school children. We are combining small-sided football and innovative drills with health education. So that's one way to bring in other disciplines and other aspects into football, and use the popularity of football to not only improve the health and the well-being, but also the learning of school children.
You have footballers as role models, and we saw this a couple of weeks ago whenever Cristiano Ronaldo removed a couple of Coca-Cola bottles from a press conference, and the world news blew up after that. and that makes a lot of sense, because you have a lot of kids that would look up to Cristiano Ronaldo. And a Coca-Cola bottle has 50 grams of sugar in it.
It has, and I mean, one of the health messages in 11 for Health, we have 11 weeks of twice weekly 45 minutes sessions. Each week we have a play football part, and we have a play fair part, and with one specific topic every week. And in one of the weeks it's drink water.
Yeah.
Not fizzy drinks. So basically we have a perfect ambassador for that part of the program.
And so 11 for Health is a project that's targeting children and trying to educate them about the world, about social issues, and about how to live a healthy life.
Exactly. So 3 of the messages, 3 weeks of training relates to physical activity. Another 3 weeks about healthy and varied diet. Another 2 weeks about well-being and respecting each other, with focus on gender issues in those countries that have problems, specific problems with that. In Brazil, for example, in some countries in Africa, it's not as normal as it is in Denmark for girls to participate in football sessions with boys. And we always have football sessions with mixed gender, and we always have football sessions with mixed gender also for the coaches. Likewise, we look into unhealthy habits related to alcohol and tobacco, etc. elite footballers of today, they do not smoke, for example.
No,
they did some 30 years ago, but they don't do that now. They live in a healthy manner. And football players are drinking water and eating fruit and some pasta after their training sessions and matches. They don't drink Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And that's quite important for us that we deliver those messages in the schools, but also that the football players sometimes they stand up for a healthy lifestyle.
Well, that is interesting. Like how football has changed, and maybe they used to drink and smoke a lot more than they did. But are you able to see a difference in their performance output now because of their change in health?
I mean, football has always been a physically hard game. A lot of high-intensity running, a lot of total distance covered, also in the 80s and the 90s. But we've recently compared football back when Denmark was the European champion in 1992, and the football of today. And we have more than 50%. More than 50% increase in the amount of high-intensity running, above 15 kilometers per hour, and a similar increase in the number of sprints performed in the game. At the same time, we have an increase in average ball speed by 15%, and an increase in the number of passes by 30 to 40%. So now 15 passes per minute rather than 11, 12 passes per minute. So the game is much faster. It's basically much more demanding, but because of an improved training, because of an improved recovery, because of the use of scientific knowledge in football, it's possible for the players to play at that intensity rather frequently.
Well, I remember looking at football whenever I was young, and I'm talking about British Premier League here, and it was very rough, like physically rough. We had Roy Keane and who do you call it, Vinnie Jones, that were pretty known to be violent. But there's also this kind of culture of like kicking the ball as hard as you can up the pitch and running after it a lot.
Kick and rush. I was a professor in Exeter in the southwest of England for quite a while, and I looked into the local football team, Exeter, but also the local rugby team. And they got a lot of inspiration from rugby, basically, in how they played. And the football, especially in the Premier League and other tough leagues, has always been very focused on high-intensity running, but also on the duels, the tackling, the headers, etc. And that has been quite tough for many years. But now the game is faster, much more high pressing, much more repressing.
Yeah, more tiki-taka, the Barcelona tactic that kind of is
there are so many tactics, and actually in this Euro we see that there's a tactical flexibility that challenges the physical capacity in many ways. So the top players, they are basically what we call multi-athletes. They are world champions in intermittent running, and they are very fast and they are very strong. But not as fast as strong as the sprinters or the weightlifters, but they have to be multi-athletes because they have to have so many capacities at the same time. But they are world champions in intermittent exercise, and that is very interesting, and also I would say very encouraging for the spectators. I was in Parken the other night with my whole family, watching Denmark beating Russia.
Oh, that must have been
4-1, and it was an amazing experience. And 5.5 million people in Denmark beating 400 million Russians in a way that's fantastic. And one of the former top politicians asked me on the television the other night, how can that be? How can that happen, that such a small country can beat the big countries? And we don't have 1 hour to explain, but for sure it's important to use the knowledge that we have. And a part of the success is that the Danish coaches, they know that they have to bring in experts to gain those percentages around training, around preparations, around mental well-being, etc. And they do that really well.
Psychologists,
exactly,
trainers,
exactly, and they do that really well.
Yeah. So, whether people like football or not, this Euro tournament has been quite dramatic this past couple of weeks. In particular, whenever Danish footballer 29-year-old Christian Eriksen fell after a cardiac arrest in a game against Finland 2 weeks ago. He actually died on the pitch and was resuscitated. I think because of that, if anybody's looking at the Euros, Denmark has a sympathy vote. People want Denmark to win because of what the team must be going through. But how common would something like this be in high intensity sport?
It's a very, very rare phenomenon. My close colleague, the German team doctor Tim Meyer, is making a global registry about cardiac arrests and cardiac issues for football players. And yes, it's very rare, and it's obviously very sad that it happened to one of our players. It's sad every time it happens. There are only very few cases in the history of elite football with such incidents. An African player died 10 years ago, and after that incident, the whole strategy about how to prevent and how to cope with cardiac arrest changed, and FIFA really took a lot of initiatives to educate people, to have the equipment on the pitches that would enable a fast recovery. And I mean, it was really scary, but the treatment was fast, and the treatment was good, and the staff did an excellent job. And our national hospital is only 500 meters away, so he was in good hands. And he's now actually recovering.
It's really amazing that
it's
a positive story in the end. The fact that he came back.
Yeah.
And the fact that he came back, and also, yeah, that must be affecting the players emotionally, you know. But we're recording this here on the 24th of June. On the 26th, Denmark play Wales, so we'll see if the team goes further.
We have a good chance.
I think so against Wales.
We have a good chance, and you know, but I think that we will be doing well. We have a lot of tactical flexibility, a lot of players that are strong physically, that can cope with a strong Welsh defense, and we also have some strong defenders that will be trying to cope with Bale and Ramsey. But it's a tough game, and I'm expecting a close game. And as you probably know, I wrote my UEFA Pro license about extra time, and you know, when we are coming into the knockout phase of the Euros with 15 knockout games, there will be 5, 6, 7 occasions with extra time, and it's so important for the teams to cope with that physically, tactically, mentally, to have a good chance in getting medals in the Euros.
In the later stages, there's going to be extra time because there's maybe people throw themselves too much into a tackle. People might get injured because they've already played too many games or so many games. Is that the reason, because of the expected extra time?
I mean, nowadays there is a long recovery between matches, and that's a big help for the players. Our research on elite players shows that after a very tough game, it takes 3 to 4 days for full recovery, for glycogen resynthesis, for recovery regarding muscle strength, and also soreness. So modern football is very tough, and it's a very good thing that there are 5 days between the Russian game and the Welsh game, and another 7 days until we have to play the quarterfinal against.
You're saying that confidently.
Against Holland, hopefully, and then we'll see. We are expecting some really tough games, some passionate games, and some interesting games, and I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, extra time will be important. When Portugal won the European Championship now 5 years ago, they had to get through 3 extra times to win the final. And actually, in the final, in extra time against France, 3 substitutes made the final goal. So Moutinho played Quaresma, and Quaresma played Eder, a pretty unknown player, and he scored the final goal in the tournament. So maybe the Danish substitutes can make the difference for Denmark in the knockout round.
Some fresh legs on the pitch in the later stages.
Exactly.
I remember United winning the treble in 1999, and it was an extra time with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer coming on, scoring a goal in the last minute.
Yeah.
And United won the treble.
Actually, there has been 35 goals in extra time by substitutes in the history of the World Cup and the Euros and the Champions League football, and I've studied that as part of my research in elite football. I also looked into top class players and how they tried to cope with extra time, how they had a 40% decrease in the amount of high intensity running and sprinting at the end of extra time compared to the first 15 minutes of the game. And that was interesting to see, and also that substitutes, they ran 75% more high intensity running than those that were in the starting 11, and they actually had 3 times more challenges and 3 times more shots at goal compared to those that started the game. So the modern game is so intense that 90 minutes is fatiguing and demanding, and 120 minutes is terrible for the players. So when we are looking into to this tournament, the possibility of having 5 substitutions in 90-minute games and 6 substitutions in 120-minute games will definitely have a big impact on the results. And
and how it's used. So we talked earlier on about where football was a couple of decades ago, where it is now. Where do you think it's going to be in 10 years' time with regards, the speed, the performance of the athletes?
It will increase further. It will be even more intense than it is now. The importance of substitutions and the importance of utilizing the physical capacity of the players, all playing positions, will be more important. The use of expert knowledge will be more important. The use of big data, using tracking technology during training and games, using optimal technologies related to investigating the injury pattern and the load pattern, and also obviously looking into optimal recovery for the players, because over the last 30 years the tournament program and the number of international games has increased a lot. So the tournaments, the competitive season is very long and very demanding. You know that from the UK. They are playing almost year round, and that's a big challenge for the players, and you have to know a lot about how to organize training, how to organize recovery in order to prolong the careers for those players. It's quite seldom to see a player like Cristiano Ronaldo at the age of 36, or Zlatan Ibrahimovic at the age of 39, and Messi 33, to cope with such a tough program and to stay at your peak performance for so many years. And you have to have a lot of knowledge, a lot of systematic strategies, and a lot of professionalism to cope with that, and that will be important in the future.
About that recovery, so I hear about cold ice baths, and you mentioned sauna just a short time ago. Are these extremes of temperature, or is that the way to get your muscles to repair?
Not much evidence is pointing in that direction. I mean, we know for sure from meta-analysis that the most important aspects related to recovery after football matches is the physical fitness itself. The age has an importance. Acute recovery is related to sleep and to glycogen replenishment. That is what we have the most strong evidence around. And then a lot of different strategies that may not help, and that many of them are used anyway in order to gain a few percentages. But the evidence is not that strong, and a lot of strategies has not been proven to be effective.
I want to go back because it was over 65s, and we had some 80-year-olds playing football there, and they were full of life. They were really getting stuck into it. I saw an article that you published that it was in a press release that said that if you have somebody who's over 65 and they've been playing football for X number of years, their cells are 11 years younger than somebody of the same age who has not been playing football or has not been physically active. Can you explain that to me, please?
Of course I can. We've done a lot of studies, randomized controlled trials, looking into the training effects of football. We have looked into the effects of just 3 months of training, 6 months of training, 1 year of training, and then in a recent study 5 years of training for prostate cancer patients. But we have also done some cross-sectional studies looking into the physical fitness, looking into the body composition of lifelong football players. So men that have been playing football since they were kids.
Okay.
And we've looked into the comparison between those that have played lifelong and those that are untrained and have not done regular sporting activities throughout their life. And when we are comparing lifelong football players with untrained age-matched individuals, we see huge differences. For example, we see a bone mineralization of the 70-year-old football players that are equal to 25-year-old untrained men. Mm-hmm. So basically, a granddad has the same bone mineralization, the same bone strength as a grandson, an untrained grandson.
Wow!
And then I say to the youngsters, this is a wake-up call. Come on, your granddad has just as strong bones as you, and your granddad has the same postural balance as you, as an untrained 25-year-old, and that's a wake-up call. At the same time, we have been looking into the biological age and the aging effects of football, and we see a number of positive effects on, for example, mitochondrial function, which is very interesting. And at the same time, we've also been looking at the telomere length of the lymphocytes, and we have also been looking at the telomerase activity. And those are telomere length. That's every time a cell, you have your chromosomes, and then every time a cell divides, the telomeres are the bit at the end of the chromosome, and they get shorter every time a cell divides. Yeah. And actually, the lifelong football players have really long telomeres, and it looks as if the football is preventing the shortening of the telomeres. So and looking into the normal development, we have seen that the football players have 11 years younger cells. So and I made some jokes when I entered the pitch as a 51-year-old, and then I said the longer I play, the younger I get. So my wife will get a young man back home after today's match. And when I had my 50th birthday, I said to my research group, I'm turning 39 because I've been playing football for 46 years now, which should be enough to get a huge effect on the telomeres as well.
So in our cells, there's some self-destruct mechanisms. There's the shortening of the telomeres. There's also some senescence, mRNA production that kind of encourage a cell death. Is that correct? Or
yeah, you can say that. I mean, we need to study this further. Yeah. Of course, we are currently planning studies looking into making long-term interventions with people that are 60 plus and that have not been playing football throughout their lives. And when we did that a couple of years ago, looking into bone strength, looking into postural balance, muscle strength, fitness variables, for example, maximal oxygen uptake, we found out that those that started as unskillful football players with no experience and very untrained, they could really benefit from starting at an old age. So we saw that 2/3 of the difference in maximal oxygen uptake was gained by 1 year of training for a 70-year-old. And for example, the difference in postural balance between lifelong football players and untrained 70-year-olds were also minimized by 1 year of football training. But in terms of the telomeres, longer time is needed. So sometimes we say in our research group, you're never too young to start training. Yeah. You know, many people say you're never too old to start training, but we still encourage people to start at a really young age because then you'll get all the benefits. Yeah. But of course, obviously, if you haven't been physically active and you have been untrained for quite a while, you have lifestyle diseases, etc., then it's a very, very good idea to start even at an old age.
So the earlier start, the better, but it's never too late to start.
Exactly.
Peter, do you have a closing summary for your project and the benefits of football?
I think I'll just like to repeat what I started up with. Football is medicine, football is for all, and football is for life. It's an optimal way to combine effective training with fun and camaraderie.
Well, Peter, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to come here and see a football match and get chatting with you, so we're a bit smarter about the science of football and the benefits of it.
You're welcome. I enjoyed this as well.
So, cheers.
Cheers. Thanks.
I sure hope you enjoyed listening to that episode. His work is just so interesting. It's nice that the take-home message is football can be prescribed as a medicine. Football helps everybody of all ages. The longer you play it, the greater its health impacts, and it can improve your health and increase your lifespan. And that's something I certainly didn't know this morning. It all really makes sense, because if you just look at our species, how we evolved, we are the only animal that doesn't have any hair, so we can sweat. We stand on 2 legs and we have a big butt, so we have a lot of power and endurance to keep going. So I'm certainly inspired now to not just watch the next game of football and to cheer for Denmark, but to actually kick a ball about myself. I'm going to leave the last word to another couple of players from the team that we were watching as we were recording this episode, Susanne and Robert, both 77, and they can also testify to the benefits football has given them. Before I go, I want to ask you to fill out the podcast review form that's linked in the description. And if you do like the podcast, recommend it to a friend, share it on social media, or give us a review. Next week, we'll be back with the last episode of this season before the summer holiday, and we'll be talking with Professor Susanne Mandrup, who is an expert on, fat cells. And I sure hope ours reduce in size as we play football during the week. I'm Michael McGee. Cheers to science. Can you introduce yourselves, please?
My name is Robert Wickens.
Yeah.
I'm from Frederikshund.
Yeah.
I play football fitness and have done for the last 7 years.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Susanne Andersen. I'm Danish. I live in Frederikshund too. And I'm 77 years old. I started last year.
Okay. Well, I just saw you guys play football.
Yes.
Saw your team play football.
Yes.
And Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun.
Yes.
You were really getting stuck into it. The ball was up and down the pitch. You know, there was moments of aggression, but mostly smiles.
Yes, and we love it. We love it.
That's the idea, in
Yes.
fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have
Exercise
great-
and
yes.
have fun at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
We have great fun.
Yeah.
So you said you were you started last year. You said you started 7 years ago.
When I was, yeah,
How old are you now?
I was 77.
77. We're 77.
Same age.
Okay. Were you playing football before?
No, never.
Never played
No.
football. So the first time you played football, you were
Yes,
76 years of age.
Yes.
I played cricket.
Great.
I play golf, but not anymore. My arm couldn't take it.
Yeah.
So I took the feet instead.
Cricket's a different sport. I remember going to watch the actual English national team of cricket, and they were drinking beers. You know? Yeah.
And
We drink a lot of beers as well.
Yes. After football.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After football, of course.
Yeah.
So that's part of the social side. So I'm doing a podcast called Science and Beers, and we talk science and we drink beers because beers kind of create the social setting where we can discuss science. You know. So, but can you guys tell me the impact of joining Munster football, grandmother football? What has it improved your health?
Definitely, yes. Come around, exercise every week. Yeah, a lot of running, a lot of jumping around. It definitely has improved my health.
What about you?
Yes. I've had for the blood tryk.
Yeah,
Blood pressure.
blood pressure.
Yes. And I don't need any medical.
Yeah.
No,
Can,
not
can, you,
so.
can you feel the difference in your health now compared to 2 years ago?
Yes, I'm not tired anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so it's giving you more
So
energy.
give more energy and a very. It's exciting to play and see all the people and have fun together.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It is a very, I think the social side of it is probably
very
just
good.
as important as the fitness
Yes,
side of it.
yes.
Yeah. It is.
Very important.
Yeah.
We have a really good team.
Yeah, and that is of course that is because we have a very good leader, Åsa, that started the
Åsa is
club
very good.
7 years ago. She has made sure that everybody
Yes.
fits in, plays well, enjoys themselves.
Nice.
And all are welcome
Yeah,
if you have passed the 60.
yeah.
Well, I've got a few years
Yeah,
to
so
go.
you have to wait.
I'll see you in another, what is
Yes.
this, 25 years?
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. But we have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Well, thanks very much for chatting to me.
And we are playing all the year in snow
Yeah.
and storm
We
and
meet every week.
every week. All year.
Yeah, all the year round.
Outside? Is it outside or inside?
Yes.
Outside.
Outside in the
Yes.
snow?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the snow.
Now that's
and
that's
we can see
dedication.
the grass down under.
That's dedication, but I think that dedication speaks volumes to the community that's
Yeah.
built around the
Yeah.
team. Because you know, you might be discouraged to go out whenever the weather's horrible, but if you really have a nice team,
And it's
you look
raining
forward to
too,
seeing
we are
seeing
playing.
people.
Yeah, when
Sorry?
it's raining.
When it's
When
raining,
it's
yeah, we don't
raining,
worry
we
about the
are-
rain.
Yeah.
No, we just continue.
Yeah.
It's hardcore.